Good morning. Today is January 24th, 2025. This is your Friday morning safety meeting. We do this meeting every Friday of the year, 52 weeks out of the year. We don't skip a single one, so we appreciate it. We've got a great crowd here in Springfield, Missouri this morning. So we're going to do things a little bit differently this morning. With me from the safety department is Stephanie Ewing. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing great. Just a little bit about Stephanie. She's one of our newer members of the safety team, so you know, the new cameras that we have out there, when you send in a driver dispute, a lot of those get reviewed by Stephanie. Stephanie's a former million-mile driver here at Prime. So congratulations to Stephanie for that. Thank you for what you did out there. But you know, we don't have somebody in here that's been behind a computer, you know, somebody that's been out there on the road and experienced what you guys are experienced or answering your questions. So we love bringing that knowledge to you guys. So yes, sir.
It's just like the Marine Corps. You're never a former Marine, so you're never a former million-mile driver. You are a million-mile driver.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point. So first and foremost, we like to do this every morning. You know, hopefully you're all enjoying your breakfast this morning. John Blansett and his team do a great job providing that, as well as our other facilities in Pittston and Salt Lake City. So let's give John and his team a round of applause here this morning. And I see a few yellow vests out here in the crowd. So if this is your first week at Prime, whether you're coming in with a permit, a student, a DC, if you're here in Springfield, Pittston, Salt Lake City, if this is your first week with us, please stand up and let us welcome you to the family. We appreciate you guys being here. And if you're here, you're the best of the best. We truly believe that. We think you made a great choice in the company that you came to, and I think that you're going to like how we do things here. You know, we've got an open door policy. The safety department, we're located in the Z building on the main level, right up there by the leasing department. You guys have any questions at all for anything, you can come find us. You can come find anybody up here that's going to speak this morning to you. Just reach out and find somebody. If you need to get with your fleet manager, we'll walk you to them. But we have an open door policy here. So we want you to come in. We want you to build those relationships with your fleet manager, with your road assist advisor, with your log advisor, anybody that's going to help your business succeed. It's very important for you to make sure that you have good open lines of communication with them. And if we don't know the answer to your question, we'll get you to somebody that does. So Stephanie, let's go right into our speakers this morning. Who are we going to start with?
All right. So we're going to start with Colby and Rachel from Driver Health and Fitness.
Hey, there we go. Good morning. How's everybody today? Good. So every week, you know, we always come on and talk about a health tip and such. And a lot of times we have obviously our exercise ones and we talk about nutrition ones. But this week we're going to talk a little bit about, and just give you a little tip. We'll talk about like the impact that having a, sorry, I was thinking something else. So go ahead.
Yeah, so creating habits, like the process of creating habits, especially if they're healthy habits, over time, that saves you mental energy. So it's pretty cool, like how that actually changes the way your brain works over time. You don't have to spend so much time thinking about, hey, I'm going to get up and I'm starting my routine of whatever, maybe it's working out or something. You don't have to get up and think and waste that energy as much. Like it's, yeah. Right.
So that's the thing we talk about, the impact it makes, right? Because what it can really do is it allows you to take your energy and focus on other things, right? Be a safer driver, those kinds of things. So yeah, the impact it has to have habits or routines that we create. So, you know, does anybody have like a routine or a habit, like a morning routine that maybe they do, or an evening routine they do that maybe helps, something like that? I see some head nods out there. Okay. And there's a big part to that, because that's the same thing we talk about, like practice, right? Practice, or perfect practice makes perfect routines. So make sure to stick with that. But that's just something we want to leave you with this morning. Do you have an example of something like in nutrition that maybe they have that you can think about that somebody's done that has a routine?
Yeah. Like one of the examples that a lot of drivers like doing that's pretty truck friendly is doing overnight oats. So they have the routine where they start out a week, they have a downtime, they prep overnight oats in their fridge, and they have that ready to go, and that's how they start their morning. There's a way to do it with more protein as well, and so it's a great way to get really lasting energy, get that protein boost, and then you have more energy for while you're driving and like your actual, you know, other things that require more of that mental focus. So if you want us to keep in touch with you on your habits. If you want us to be kind of an accountability partner on that, we can definitely do that. If you go on the Prime app, you go to Prime Home, and then you click on the driver health and fitness that pops up, and we have a check-in form right there. So if you want to just let us know what habit you're working on, and if you want us to keep in touch with you on that, we can do that.
Awesome. All right, that's all we got. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, Colby and Rachel. I switched sides on you. My fault. All right, so next we're going to bring up Ross Clement with our intermodal division. You know, we do a lot of reefer down here, so we love getting our other divisions up here, intermodal, flatbed, and tanker. So good morning, Ross. What do you got for us today?
Hey, good morning. Thanks, John. Hey, good morning, everyone. As John mentioned, my name's Ross Clement. I work in the intermodal division, and just wanted to come and provide a little update for everyone this morning. First of all, I want to say thanks to all you drivers out there for all you do every day. Winter weather is definitely a challenge for everyone, and intermodal is no stranger to that. Our drivers, they use day cab tractors, so they start their day every day with a cold truck that's got to be warmed up at a drop yard. We run local, so we're running multiple loads per day, and in and out of the truck all day long. Some of these drivers run 6, 7, 8 loads a day in some areas. So, you know, winter weather is definitely challenging. Just want to thank all those guys for what they do every day. It's greatly appreciated. As far as an update goes, 2024 sales and load count customers, we saw nice growth and positioned well for 2025 with some of the awards that are coming back in. So we're very excited for 2025. On our drivers, we started 23 with around 76 intermodal drivers and ended at 113, I believe it was. And then for 24, started at 113, ended around 130, and we're looking to grow that about 30 to 40 drivers more throughout this year. So, you know, like I mentioned before, on the intermodal side, our drivers run local and in various markets across the country. We've got openings in Chicago, Harrisburg, Seattle, Portland, Northern California, and maybe a few other areas. So if that kind of fits the bill for anyone that may be interested in looking at more home time or knows somebody that may, reach out to me and we'll talk and see what we can get set up. That's all I've got this morning.
All right, thank you, Ross. Hey, real quick question.
Yeah.
So those areas you mentioned, Portland, Seattle, Northern California, where are you at in Northern California specifically?
Stockton specifically.
Stockton, okay. So how far or how close do I need to be domiciled to one of those locations for this to work?
You know, really ideally within commuting distance. We say 50 miles, but you know, for you it might be 20 miles. You know, it comes down to how far you want to commute every day, because we're going to park at a drop yard and commute back and forth. So in some situations we'll slip seat tractors, so there'll be a daytime driver and then a nighttime driver that share the same truck.
All right, well, we appreciate you coming down. So
Absolutely, thanks for having me out.
if anybody has any questions for Ross, he may have you stick around over here for just a few minutes, so we appreciate that. All right, so we've got some guests here this week, and one of them are our friends from Lockton were down, and they were very generous enough to have a few handouts this morning. So we're going to kind of do this throughout the program today. So we're going to give out some prizes here, but we're not just going to give them out. You got to answer a question right. So got a question out. This goes to everybody. If you're in an accident, whether it's major, minor, truck stop, whatever the case may be, if you're able to do so, what would we like you to do with the camera whenever the accident happens? Hit the button. Perfect. Good job. That's the exact answer. So Keith, will you hand this to him? So what that does, if you're in your sleeper berth at a truck stop, you know, you're parked for the night, or you're getting your rest in, and you feel the truck rock, somebody hits you, and you know, you're going to be, you know, out of sorts. You're not going to be thinking clearly. You know, the one thing that you can do is just hit that button, so we know a general time frame of whenever that occurred. So what we can do, that outward facing camera when you park will remain active for 10 hours. So we have saved a lot of deductibles, and we have eliminated a lot of these hit and run accidents at night or in truck stops where somebody is pulling out of the spot next to us and they clip the front end of our tractor, or they're backing in and they back into us, and then they take off when they realize what happened. You know, in the past, that's a hit and run, and the deductibles still apply, unfortunately.
And in some of these accidents, we've been able to find out and go after that company. We were able to get a plate number, a truck number, a trailer number, something like that, where we can go after them and show them the video evidence. So hitting that button is gonna save us time, but it's gonna save you money.
Absolutely. So yeah, those cameras have really paid off in that aspect. Yes, sir.
Okay, it seems like when I hit the button that it creates an event. And then that event, even though I watch it, it won't go away. And it still says I've got an event. And so I'm trying to find out, is there something to do? I mean, do we lose points or anything when we do hit that button? Because you guys are thinking it's an accident. And, you know, the last one I put that I was cleaning my windshield and it was a microfiber cloth. So, but it still hasn't went away.
Right. The answer to your question is no, you don't lose any points on your green score because of a driver initiated event. So, you know, we've had some funny ones where maybe there's a pet in the truck, and whenever they're in the sleeper berth, it walks back and forth on the dash, and there's 140 driver initiated events for the day, you know, so it doesn't affect your green score at all. But, you know, that button's there for the exact purpose that we just talked about, you know, to hopefully, you know, protect yourself so we know whenever something occurred. So
Yeah, I've seen numerous cats rubbing on the camera and hitting the button each time, or we grabbing our bills and accidentally hit that button. So it doesn't affect you at all.
you're welcome. All right, well, let's go out east. You know, normally we introduce our other terminals at the beginning of the meeting. So let's go out east. I know Rick was at a meeting this morning. I'm not sure if he's back yet. So who do we have with us this morning? Pittston, are you there? They're not there? Okay. Well, we apologize. Let's try to go out west here, and maybe Pittston will be with us here a little bit later. So, Jonathan, are you out there this morning?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me all right?
We can. Are you there by yourself, or you have Justin with you this morning?
I'm here by myself. Well, never mind. He's trickling over here.
All right, great. So how's everything in Salt Lake City this week?
Things are going good this week. It's just been cold. Watch the temperatures there. Walking, keeping slippy.
We're having a little trouble hearing you there, but that's Justin Walker that's speaking. He's our newest safety associate out there in Salt Lake City. So, you know, in the past, whenever we've had somebody that needed to come in and sit down with safety, Justin's filled in for that role. He was down here training. Justin's a former fleet manager, been with Prime a long time, has a lot of knowledge. So if you're out there, stop in and say hi to Justin. So, Jonathan, what do you have for us this morning?
Yes, sir. So from an operations standpoint, I just wanted to point out a few things, specifically on pre-tripping trailers. We've had a lot of issues recently. Well, I won't say a lot, but we've had a couple issues pop up where we're going into locations to pick up loads with trailers that are just out of service, or they have some sort of insulation showing, or whatever it may be. You know, specific to the areas like the Midwest, the Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, those protein shippers, it's super, super important we thoroughly go through our trailer inspections and make sure we're dropping off good, clean, usable equipment. You know, those locations are typically on spot trailers. So if we're coming in there to drop off a bad trailer, they can't reload before sending you out on your preloaded. It really does us no good. So really encourage everybody to please put some emphasis on that so we don't have any issues picking up trailers at shippers and dropping off bad ones. So otherwise, I did want to point out our shops out here. We've got a lot of extra capacity and we can definitely utilize the work. So if you guys are out this way and you want a quick turnaround, please come through, get your PMs done, you know, just your annuals, whatever it may be. We can get you in and out of here as quickly as we can. And also, you know, we're overbooked most days out west. You know, Utah and Idaho, we've got a lot of freight to run. So as soon as your truck's fixed and you're ready to get back to work, we can definitely get you loaded on some freight pretty quickly afterwards. So definitely encourage everybody to get out here if they can.
All right, well, we appreciate that update, Jonathan. If anybody out there has any questions, comments, concerns at any point in time this morning during the meeting, please make sure to get a microphone in front of them and hop in, all right?
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right, we appreciate it. So Next, we're going to go down to Sam Messick, and Sam is going to come up and give us an update on fuel. Sam, we haven't had you up here in a while. We appreciate you being down here.
Yeah, thank you very much, John. And I got my trusty sidekick, Devin Stagner, with me. So, yeah, Craig, his uncle over here, is clapping. Devin's my man. So, yeah, I agree. Let's clap. But no, hey, we just wanted to give you guys a couple updates on things. I'll let Devin kind of start off with something that we've reminded everybody about a couple times, but it just doesn't seem to be correcting itself. So, Devin, you want to remind us of some things about where we pump the fuel and how we track it?
Yeah, the point I've been trying to drive home quite a bit here lately is to make sure that the fuel that you're selecting at the pump, tractor or reefer fuel, goes into that tank which you've actually selected for a couple of reasons. And one is because if it doesn't go in there accurately, it's going to get caught anyway. We have systems in place to make sure that we're accurately tracking where the fuel is actually dispensed into. And it's kind of a headache if it has to go through the back end processing of it. It delays the processing of the transaction itself, the reefer fuel credit that you may get. And so just to make sure that that's all done in an accurate and a timely manner, just make sure that it's done right in the first place. That's the easiest way to go about doing it. And if you're trying to, game the system by saying, hey, reefer fuel is going to give me a benefit tax wise, that's certainly not the case in most cases. And actually, as a matter of fact, you're probably hurting yourself in the process, right, Sam?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So it's just critically important that you pump the fuel as the fuel was actually went into your vehicle. So don't claim for his tractor's reefer. As Devin mentioned, it just creates a lot of holdups in the process. So we have to go through and manually update transactions, which holds up your reefer reimbursements and chargeback process and stuff. And it can cost you tax refunds if stuff isn't claimed correctly. So just please really key in on that for us. It would be extremely helpful. And like we said, we end up catching it on the back end anyway. And it's just a ton of manual work and a ton of frustration for you all whenever we have to correct those. So a couple other updates that we wanted to give you. Devin, I was working with a vendor that we've been trying to work with for a long time up in the Northeast, a group called RL Valley. They own some of the maple fields, fuel stops up in the northeastern part of the country. And we were finally able to get them in the network at some pretty decent fuel deals. So I know that's kind of a sparse area. So Devin, do you just maybe want to mention real quickly the locations that we'll be bringing on? I think there were 6 or 8.
Yeah, it looks like there's about 8 of them. I'm finishing getting them all opened up this morning, actually. So we have St. Albans, Vermont, Swanton, Vermont, South Albert, Vermont, Fairhaven, Vermont, South Johnsbury, Vermont, and then in New York we have Ticonderoga, Peru, and 2 locations in Champlain, New York.
So those are areas of the country where there's not a lot of truck stop options. There's not a bunch of pilots, TAs, loves up in that area. So these should be very helpful locations for us. So up in St. Albans, I think Ben and Jerry's is our big customer up there. So we buy a lot of reefer fuel at the Wagon Wheel truck stop there. That location will not be our preferred location anymore. We now have this RL Valley stop up there. So use them going forward. So that was a really good addition to the network. The only other thing that I was going to mention is last week, I guess now, we had the opportunity to go down to the Loves conference that they have every year for all of their general managers and management team. There were close to 3,000 of their associates there. And one, I just wanted to pass along from them to you all their appreciation and thanks for your business. It really is encouraging to see their view on how they try to drive service, right, and drive value to their customers. They really do have a very Prime-esque approach to how they do business. They really see the world the way we do. They really do appreciate what you all do for the industry and wanted to pass that along to you. With that being said, one of the things that we were able to get done while we were down there is I don't think anybody likes the Loves Rewards opt-in process every month. I think that's been one of the most painful processes ever. So that is going to be going away within the next week or two. It will go back to the way that it was. several years ago where it just automatically opts you in as long as you have a card swipe within the last 10 to 14 days of the end of the month. The next month, you'll automatically be opted into the Love's Diamond status that you get if you're a Prime driver. So that whole email process confirmation thing will go away. So that should be just streamline things for you, make things a little bit easier. But any other questions or any questions for us while we're up here? Otherwise, we'll keep this moving along. All right, I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, guys. We appreciate all that information. That's great information. One thing that I wanted to mention here before we've got the Pittston Terminal back, so we're going to get to them here in just a minute. But let's give away another prize up here real quick. And this one, I'm gonna kind of be specific here. Do we have anybody on the flatbed side here today? Any flatbedders at all? We have 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got a couple. All right. So your odds are increasing right here. So we're going to ask you guys a question, all right? Because it's really cold outside, and we know that you guys have the hardest job as far as what you do out there, tarping and strapping. And so when the temps are extremely cold, what shortcuts can you take on your pre-trips to speed the process up? First hand in the air for flatbed. None was his answer, and that's the right answer. So great answer here. We're going to give you a pair of gloves. We know you need those gloves. So in our weekly safety staple this week that we sent out yesterday, it's on the Prime app. We're going to get it out to you in a message to the tractor as well today. But, we're seeing some accidents come through where it feels like that maybe we're not getting out and doing the pre-trips that we should be doing. We had a trailer that wasn't hooked correctly, and we dropped it at a customer. Very, very bad deal. Very fortunate nobody was injured. But a horrible deal. We had a call with the customer. We went over the steps that we're taking, what we're going to do to make sure that doesn't ever happen again. Another thing that we're seeing, and Stephanie can confirm this, the accidents we're coming through, we're seeing flat spots on tires. So, I know it's cold and it's miserable. I was miserable this morning. I think I walked about 20 feet outside, so I can't imagine what you guys are doing out there. But please don't skip these steps in the morning, because that is your safety, everybody's safety around you on the road. So, Stephanie, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so getting flat spots on tires, I can only assume that the brakes are freezing once somebody drops the trailer. We've been in winter weather, the freezing rain and the snow in most of the country this last week and a half. And then the tires are not rolling because the brakes are frozen up at that point in time. So I assume when we pull away, those brakes are frozen up, and we think they're just gonna unlock and we'll be good. And that unfortunately is not the case. And we've had a lot of flat spots on tires in this last week or so, with incidences that we've had to report. And then, brakes freezing. When you guys park, and you guys have been in the snow and the ice, freezing rain, whatever the case may be, it's not a bad idea to start warming your brakes up to dry them off when you're exiting the road before you park. I used to go like 5-10 miles just to make sure my brakes are warm, they're dry, and that way I know when I leave in the morning, I can drive away and I don't really have to worry about those brakes freezing up and getting flat spots on my tires. It's one of those things. Winter is tough, especially right now with the South getting as much snow as they have. But we really need to be watching those brakes, because I believe that's why we're getting a lot of those flat spots right now.
Absolutely. And all we want to do is we want you to keep money in your pocket. We don't want any unnecessary claims and unnecessary damages that could be prevented. So you guys work hard out there. We want that money to go into your pocket, not back in, to repairing some tires that have flat spots on them. So, all right. Thank you, Stephanie, for that insight. We've got a big event coming up this Monday night here in Springfield, Missouri. So we're going to bring in the organizer, the lady that runs the entire Million Mile program here at Prime, does an absolutely fabulous job. I know a lot of you have talked to her, and we've got a big event with a lot of invitations out. This is Pam Linhart in the safety department. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning. How are you? So for those of you that are new here, Prime does a special program for all of its million-mile drivers. Excuse me, but let me clear up a misnomer. Just because your odometer says 1,000,000 miles, you're not a million-mile driver, okay? So the way Prime bases that, it's based on from your hire date. If you go 3 consecutive years without a preventable accident, that gives you a permanent anniversary date. Then every year on that permanent anniversary date that you have not had a preventable accident, you get another year towards your 1,000,000 miles. So the calculations were done well before my time that 7 years, 0 preventable accidents will make you a gold 1,000,000 miler. So these are done in increments of 7 years. So right now we have 4 5,000,000 mile drivers. So that's 35 years at Prime with 0 accidents. What an accomplishment. So what I want to ask for you guys and gals, as you think you're getting closer, or even if you're only 2 or 3 years into it, call me, come by, see me. We'll check your record, okay? And sometimes there are fallacies on the record. We'll get them cleared up before you come to me late going, why wasn't I invited to the dinner? So let's do it in advance instead of afterwards. Are there any questions on the 1,000,000 Mile Dinner?
Would you share the numbers that we're looking at as far as recipients for Monday, please?
For Monday, so Monday's dinner is for the gold. So that's level 1, the 1,000,000 mile. We are going to be adding 268 new 1,000,000 mile drivers. So that will put us at active drivers at a little over 1,200 active drivers that are active 1,000,000 milers. So that's quite an accomplishment. And it's something that a lot of companies don't recognize. So I want you to understand that what Robert does for this to recognize the drivers is above and beyond. So take advantage of it and, work towards that. Any other questions? All right, guys. Thank you. And for those that'll be there, we'll see you Monday night.
Thank you, Pam. That's an astounding number. 268 drivers being added just this year in their first level of 1,000,000 miles. So that just goes to show you how great of a job you guys do out there on the road. So we're going to bring up some reefer fleet managers at this point in time. So we've got Mark Odell and Braun Beck with us this morning. Both again are on the refrigerated side and have been fleet managers here for a number of years. Good morning, guys.
How's everybody doing? Well, they asked us to talk a little bit about what makes people successful on our fleet. And run their network, trip plan, and be as safe as possible.
Mine is the whole safety aspect and good communication. So make sure you utilize our drop yards that Prime has to offer. A lot of the appointment times this time of year are kind of out there. So just make sure if you are running ahead or even behind, make sure you let us know so then we can kind of come up with an action plan to go.
So let's expand on that just a little bit. So, as a former fleet manager, better utilizing your time, especially your teams in the network. So if I go in and I drop a load at a drop yard in Southern California or wherever, here in Springfield or whatever, what's the expectation? Am I going to get a load right back out of there? Am I going to maybe help out on another local delivery that another truck has dropped to better utilize their hours, or what's the situation with that?
So whenever we drop a load, just to cover our freight network, is you will have a local. You will always have a local off that yard to cover our customer base, and then you will get a load directly right out. So just always plan on that and communicate with your fleet manager. That's why we need really rock hard, solid ETAs when you're going to be at that yard, how many hours you're going to have, so we can utilize our customer base to deliver that local. And then that way we can get you in and out of there fast.
Outstanding. Thank you for that. So yeah, just like they're saying, if you're a team, so if you've got a team and you're dispatching them off the East Coast going to the West Coast, Mark, if they know right off the bat they've got too much time on their hand, when are you looking for that communication for them as far as, hey, can we move this appointment up? Can we drop it? Can we repower somebody else that might need help? Do you want them to start that communication day one, or?
The sooner the better.
Sooner the better, okay.
And if we can get either a repower set up or, a drop at a location, Springfield, if we can get something set up before you get into Springfield, drop here, or Fontana, or even Salt Lake City, depending on what part of the West Coast it's going to. But the sooner we have that, we see it too. We'll reach out to our drivers at the same time. But a lot of them, we know right off the bat, they're going to be contacting us and saying, hey, we're going to be there a day and a half early. Let's figure something out, and we work on it.
Man, I'm not gonna let you guys off that easy. So, Mark, tell me just a little bit about how long you've been here.
I've been here, March will be 11 years.
11 years. You've been in fleet managing the whole time?
Yes.
Okay. So, what about your fleet's fuel mileage? How important is it to these new drivers coming in to really obtain good fuel mileage, and how do you monitor it?
Fuel is one of the biggest costs that you guys have control over on how you buy, where you buy, and how much you burn. Being aware of where you're going and what the fuel price is, where you're going versus where you're at, make good decisions. If you go through Illinois, buy fuel. If you're going somewhere east, you might try to buy enough to get in and get back out. But trip plan your fuel purchases just like you trip plan your load.
Hey, Bron, so how long you been here?
Just over 10 years.
10 years as well. And how big is your fleet?
I just went under 100, but with counting students, I have 136 people.
So what is the most gratifying thing that you can accomplish with your fleet? What makes you feel the very best, most successful?
The most successful thing is just being able to help my drivers, their families, making money, being safe. I know a lot of my drivers out there that have issues and family, personal issues, and I'm there to help them out with that and communicate that with me. So that's kind of like the one thing that kind of connects me with my fleet, is knowing what they're going through and being able to assist with them just as their partnership in their business.
So that somebody mentioned earlier, I think, about meeting a fleet manager and building a relationship and really understanding what you all do. And I suspect you'd welcome your operators to come up and sit with you while you're working during the day. Mark, that makes sense?
Yeah, I've had several come up and sit with me for a few minutes and some for a couple, 3 hours. And then they see that we don't plan the loads. We review them and we get the loads to it, and they see the process we go through.
Very good. What about the driver turnover on your, oh, you got a question? Go ahead. No, we're good.
What's the most difficult part of your job dealing with a driver?
It's not really a driver that's the issue. The biggest thing is, I'm going to go back to communication, is if we have the lack ability of the communication from a driver or even sales or our customers, I think that's the most difficult and most frustrating part in our job, because we have to rely on our customer base. We have to rely on our drivers to successfully get that over to our sales team. That would be mine.
All right. One of the reasons I asked that question is, Facebook, there's every opinion out there. And I wanted to always hear you guys get up and talk. And from one driver, I would like to let everybody know, from my opinion, that I couldn't do this job without you. You guys, make it work. And I see a lot of negativity about fleet managers, and I just kind of want to push back on that. I actually have like 10 trucks here. I couldn't run 10 trucks with, on this with Prime if I didn't depend on my business partner and get to know him and let him run the fleet the way he sees is best profitable for all of us involved. So thank you.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate those comments. And the term you use, which I think is most relevant to their fleets, is business partner. They're just part of the team, just like you're part of the team. And certainly they cannot do their job without having good operators and communicating very effectively. So just from the sales side, We cannot thank you all enough for what you do. Without a doubt, in my opinion, you have the most challenging job in our company, and certainly communicate with our drivers in a manner that is more meaningful than anyone else. The safety thing, you got a word on that? You want to talk about that for just a second?
You know, I thought about this week is, you guys all know the weather hit the south. They're not used to anything that you guys saw. So my biggest thing that I saw, a lot of my drivers were down there because they didn't like driving, but they did it. They did it safely. They did it on time. And we kind of pushed back on these customers down south that half their employees didn't show up to even unload. 30, 40 miles to even unload, so our drivers sat. But our drivers arrived safely, on time. So I hope that that southern the customer base kind of understands that when you guys are driving 1,800 miles across country, 3, 4, 6 feet of snow and ice, and they only got a couple inches, I think. So I thank the drivers for that, and they all communicated. That'd be mine.
You bet. I appreciate you guys. John, you got anything else?
I don't. That's a lot of good insight there. So we appreciate that. You know, one thing that I do want to add, especially for the new drivers here and anybody listening out there on the social media platforms, you know, just because you're not in a terminal at 8 a.m. Central Time on a Friday doesn't mean you can't watch this meeting. We've got it on all of our socials. You can go back and watch it when you're parked later on today. But this badge right here that you're given whenever you come to Prime, you know, we're not like other carriers where you got to come to the front door and you've got to check in with the security guard and you've got to say, I'd like to talk to Braun or Mark, my fleet manager. These cards will get you into the building. They'll give you access. Please go up to their desk. Just as Mark said, Braun said, they have drivers come up, you know, business associates that come up and sit with them, you know, on a weekly basis. So that's what Prime's all about. It's an open door policy. If you have a question, come find somebody to ask that question to. If that's not the right person, we'll get you in front of the right person to talk to. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that, and that's what that card right there is for. So guys, we greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, I think that we have Pittston now. So let's go back out east to Pittston, Pennsylvania. Who do we have out there with us this morning?
Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing? It's nice to be on.
Hey, we're good. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. Hey, you know, I want to talk about inclement weather a little bit, and I want to talk about the basics. And when I mean the basics, what I'm talking about is when you're dealing with snow, fog, rain, whatever it may be, any type of inclement weather, you have to slow down. You also need to increase that following distance. Yeah, you know, 3, 4, 5 seconds when you're not dealing with inclement weather. You want to bump that up to 7, 8, 9 seconds when you're dealing with inclement weather, or even more, whatever you may think. Then you need to limit distractions in the cab, and what I mean by that is focus on the road instead of reaching for a bottle of water or a pack of cigarettes or turning up the radio. And then last but not least, don't drive over your ability. Once you start feeling not safe or you're just antsy about what you're doing, park the truck. It's so much easier just to park it and wait for those snow plows to clean those roads and make the situation better. Then you can get back out there and be on your get back to trucking. Thank you.
All right, we appreciate that, Rick. That's Rick Ifford. He's our safety supervisor up there in the Pittston, Pennsylvania terminal, and you know, he makes a lot of good points there. If you're uncomfortable or unsure if you should move that tractor, that's probably a really good sign that maybe you shouldn't, and maybe you should think about erring on the side of caution. Get a hold of your fleet manager. You know, they've probably got other trucks, or they may have other trucks in the area. The fleet manager next to it may have other trucks in the area. They may have some knowledge about how the roads are. So, you know, you get that gut feeling. Stephanie, talk about it when you're out there on the road. What do you think about that?
You know, especially watching some of the dash cam footage that we've been receiving lately, the roads are scary out there, to say the best. There were some spots where you had no idea if you were on the road or on the shoulder, or it just, you couldn't see the lines or anything. You know, shut down, go to the safest place you can and wait it out until either Mother Nature clears the roads or until the county comes in and salts it or whatever. I was a fan of shutting down when the roads were nasty, even though I grew up in Northeast Michigan where the roads are nasty from October to March. It's not worth it. No load is worth it. You're more valuable here than any accident, rollover, whatever the case is. We want you okay. Your family wants you okay. So shut down and reach out to dispatch so that they can advise sales, who can advise the customer that the roads are too bad out there.
Absolutely. Keep that communication open. So we appreciate that. Rick, if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, of course, get the microphone in front of them. We'd love to hear you guys jump in at some point this morning.
Hey, thanks for having us back.
Absolutely. Yeah, who do we have next?
All right, we have Alex from Logs. Come on up, Alex.
Alex is one of our newer log associates, but Alex has just been a staple down here. Good morning.
Morning, everybody. There's not much to review today. We had a few inspections come in. A lot of them are positive, so congratulations on that. We still have, every once in a while, a couple times a month, we'll get an inspection that fails because we can't send out the reports that are requested. So we're just going to do a quick review on that. Both the OmniTracks, if you still have one, or the new GeoTab. So the OmniTracks, same system from before. You go to your hours of service. So HOS, that's where you're going to see your statuses for your hours. You're going to be able to change which status you're in. If you go to HOS and then your log via the daily log tab, again, the newer system's a little bit better on this. On the older one, you had to hit ERODS. It's not necessarily the clearest acronym, but that is how we send those reports to an officer if they request it. Benefit of the new unit, when you do get that installed, on your main page, you're going to see a very clear icon that states roadside check. If you hit roadside check, you're already in the spot where you can send it over. So you don't have to click through different menus. So if you already have it on there, it's a lot easier. Once you do get it installed, you'll see it on the main homepage. So, that'll just be something that'll make that a bit easier. And the last is, I think I've had about 5-6 phone calls this week about split breaks regarding the new unit. I know on the older one, we used to have the SB button, the split break button, that was used to initiate those breaks that would pause your clocks for your 14-hour, save you time when you're at customers. That was a temporary fix. Those units were supposed to automatically pause. Some units did not, which is why that button was created. On the new unit, it's automatic. So as long as you do the required minimum breaks on the unit for the smaller portion and larger portion, you're going to see those pauses happen automatically, and you'll see the time come back whenever you complete the minimum required breaks. So there is no need for you to, do anything on it to initiate those. Those are going to be initiated automatically. Now, if you do see that you're not getting time back, maybe you took a break a little bit earlier, or we haven't completed something and we need to fix it for you, call Logs, and then we can look at your hours for you, or with you. And if we can fix that or give you an idea on when you're going to get time back, we're always happy to do that too. So that's never changed. Does anyone have any questions on the sending reports out or split breaks while I'm up here? All right, well, that was short. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, sir. All right, well, we've got one more giveaway up here, and this is the toughest question that we have. We kind of saved it for the end. We saved the best prize. We got a Stanley Cup up here, brand new Stanley Prime Cup. So those are very hot commodities, I know. So last question here. So in inclement weather, you're out there, we've talked a lot about it. Roads are covered. Maybe they're not safe. You don't feel comfortable driving. Who decides if it's safe to drive? A, your fleet manager. B, sales. C, the customer. Or D, you. You, all right. I'm sorry. I saw a yellow vest over here, but right. The answer is D. You decide. You're the captain of the ship. All right. We're not out there. Your fleet manager's not out there. The sales associate's not out there. Right. And again, we mentioned it earlier. We're in bullets to the front line, as I've heard people say up here before. Right. So you decide if it's safe to drive. You're the one that makes that decision. Look at all the telltale signs. Do you see, spray coming off of the back of tires in the truck stop that you're at or wherever you're parked? Do you see other traffic driving down the road? Have you seen the salt crews come through? If the answer is no to all those, it's probably not going to be a good idea to get out there and test it.
No, and going back again to when I drove, that was my first clue. If people are starting to pass you and you're not seeing much spray coming off their tires, that means it's starting to ice. It's time to park. It's time to start looking for a safe location and wait out until he starts getting that spray and starts melting a little bit. Because you have no idea. Bridges and overpasses freeze first. You have no idea if that bridge in front of you is going to be a sheet of ice or, if it's going to be okay.
That's right. We can't, reiterate this enough. You make that decision. You're the captain of the ship. If you call Braun or Mark or any other fleet manager, whoever your fleet manager is here in any division, you have that conversation and you communicate with them, they're not going to question it. You are the captain of the ship, and we fully want you to buy into that concept. So,
yeah, absolutely.
All right, one thing that I want to do before we go into our safety numbers that Stephanie's going to read off to you, I want to thank our vendors back here for anybody here in Springfield, Missouri that doesn't know, we've got a great team of vendors back here that really help this company day in and day out. So if you have specific questions, maybe about a tractor, a trailer, anything like that, these are the folks right back there. They're here every Friday to ask questions to. If you can't get in here, send a message in through one of the social media platforms. Call into your fleet manager, call into the safety department. We will get that question in front of them to make sure you get your answer.
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you have on the safety numbers this week?
Okay, so for inspections this week, we had 137 total. 103 were clean. That is a 75% clean rate that y'all did last week. That is amazing. So Bill in the safety department looked at inspections and he told me a little bit of what he was seeing for write-ups. So the main one, I believe, was not doing thorough pre-trips. The trailer airlines were rubbing on each other and they put on scuffs or chafing or something like that. So again, I know we spoke about it earlier. Make sure you're doing thorough pre-trips. It's an easy write-up for the officer to go under there. We know when it's 1 degree outside, you don't want to get under the trailer and mess with it, but you have to do a thorough pre-trip, okay? That's an easy write-up. And honestly, if you get a clean inspection, we want to pay you. We want to pay you that money, right?
So yeah, lease operators, $100. If you're a company driver, $25 for clean inspection. So it pays, to do what you're supposed to do in the morning. And one thing I want to add to this, we've talked about extreme cold temperatures this week. You're the most valuable asset out there, right? So protect yourself, dress accordingly, wear warm clothing, boots, gloves, hat, cover your face. Some of these wind chills that I've seen the last 2 or 3 weeks are just brutal. So make sure you protect yourself first and foremost when you're doing those pre-trips.
Make sure that the bunk heater is working, that we have anti-gel in the fuel tank, in the reefer, stuff like that would save a headache, especially I think like South Dakota or Minnesota had a wind chill of like -30 this week. That is insane. So make sure that we're protecting the equipment and that you're protected also.
Absolutely. So, one thing we want to point out a couple of other folks that are up here. If you have any questions while you're here at the terminal, again, if you're out there, you're not able to be here, reach out to somebody. We'll get the question to them. We've got Richard and Brianne from our IT department over here to my right. If you have any questions about the Prime mobile app or getting logged into the Geo tab, they are the experts, okay? We can help a little bit, but these guys have all the knowledge in the world about these products. So please utilize them. If you have any questions, come up and see them after the meeting. And then I just want to mention, if everybody notices this is your first meeting, there's a lot of red in the room, right? A lot of Chiefs fans here, obviously, but every week we have a lot of red in the room. And red stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. So we love to honor our military every week. We appreciate what you do. We cannot express how much we appreciate what you do. So if you served in any of the branches of our armed forces, please stand up and let us recognize you this morning. We really appreciate your service. And, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Steve Wukte here, Vice President of Sales, and I believe you have a special guest this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you all. So my name's Steve Wukte and I am in sales, but really our operators that do all the heavy lifting, you're in sales. You make the difference for us, and we appreciate very much what you do day in and day out. For you new folks, and we're proud that you chose our company. Now, we are a very unique company, and you may not know that because you haven't seen other trucking companies. So Prime's pretty unique. Now, I didn't say perfect because we're not. We're a long way from perfect, but every day we try to get just a little bit better. We really thank you for trusting us and appreciate you joining our team. It's a great opportunity, I think. It's a very challenging job. We are focused on safety. That will never change. So just keep that in mind. It's dangerous. You only get one chance sometimes to maintain your driving position. Do not try to outdrive your skill set. Just remember that. We don't have a load that important. All you got to do is communicate with your fleet managers when you think maybe you've got an issue with the weather, okay? Communication's super key. And when you get on a truck here, get assigned to a truck, ask your lead seat to take you to meet the fleet manager, please. They want to know you. It's important that you build a relationship there, not just for your training time, but after that. So please keep those things in mind. So we know without operators, good driver operators, we would not be successful. But second of all, without having really good customers, we can't get it done. So I want to introduce one of our very best customers, not just a customer, but a really good friend of ours, Rick Burden from Naturipe. Rick, come on up here, and I think he's got maybe a 15-minute speech prepared, but we're going to cut him off, okay? We're not going to let him talk too awful long. So, Rick, thank you for being here. He came from California to do a business review, and he's probably got some facts for you. Go ahead.
Facts. No, I thought when I saw all this red, I thought, wow, there's a lot of 49er fans here. And then I saw this arrowhead. I thought, oh, Chris, I'm in the wrong place.
There ain't no 49er fans here but you, homie.
No, my name is Rick Burden. I'm with Naturipe Farms. We're in the berry and avocado business. As far as what we do, we're growers and producers, and then what's called execution, which would be the sales and the delivery of the product. What makes us a little bit unique is that a normal produce company would probably control about 40 to 45% of their production pounds in delivery. We control about 75 to 80% of our production pounds. So having partnerships like we have with Prime, I think we're in our 15th year now.
Yes. Correct.
And you guys have been our horse since day one. You guys haul about 65% of our hauls over 500 miles.
Let's get 75%.
I tried, but he won't give me any more trucks. So yeah, it's very, we measure every metric. So when we do these meetings with Steve and his team, it's extremely important. But our biggest thanks is to the drivers, because you guys are the face of Naturipe Farms. I mean, from the customer's standpoint, you're the last thing that they see from Naturipe Farms, right? And if it's a positive thing, then it puts a positive face on Naturipe from the customer standpoint. So we really appreciate that. We just did the review for 2024. Our goal is 98% on-time delivery, controllable on-time delivery, and you guys hit 98.4% last year.
Good job. Good job.
So great job. We couldn't have done it without you guys. By far, you guys are the most important part of Prime, regardless of what Steve thinks. But I just want to say thank you for all you do. And if you see me out in one of the coolers, flag me down and come over and have a chat. Let me know what we can do for you to make your guys' jobs easier. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Proud of you. Proud to be a partner of yours. Thanks very much. Okay, I'm going to now bring up the president of our company, Darrel Hopkins, and he can wrap up this meeting. Come on, Darrel.
Hey, Rick is not just a great customer. He really is a great friend. I mean, if we could deal, this is what makes really this business enjoyable, is having customers like him that you can work with so well, but he cares. So, it's kind of funny. Steve was kind of easy on him. He's hard on everybody else. In fact, he may not remember this, but I can remember a few years back, I was walking in here to the meeting and he looked at me and he said, "Why are you coming to this meeting?" Now, I didn't know if he was conducting the survey or if he thought I just wanted to eat for free. I still don't know. But I do remember my answer. I said, because I learned something. And I really hope that's the case here, because that's why we have these meetings. It really is. He said it. We're not perfect, but we want to improve. And when I say we, that's all of us, not standing up here. Everybody, we want to improve. That's how we're successful. That's how we get better. Even at the start of the meeting, I heard Colby and Rachel talking about habits. It was interesting. I just read an article recently that said 40% of what we do is habits. And it frees up the brain to focus on other things, just like Colby was saying, to be safer. But it's not just habits, it's forming good habits. So it really is important that you learn from these meetings, you learn from your peers. How do you do a pre-trip right? How do you do your maintenance right? And make those habits so that part of the job is easy and you can focus on everything else. So anyway, really appreciate everybody being here. Love having a nice crowd. Love having great customers here. We really want you to be safe. You heard it. Safety is our highest calling. That's what we're focused on right now, especially in the winter. And so please be safe out there, and God bless you all.